Good morning, dear students. In the previous classes, we have started with the concept of nested loops, right? So today we will just revise a little of the concepts and then continue with the problem, right? So let us see what is nested loops first, and then we will continue with problem number 24 and 25, right? So here we have the screen which shows the basic nested loops is what we are going to discuss through today's PPT, right? So mainly we have the concept of loops which we have discussed from long before previous classes. We have discussed that we have loops which mean that there is continuous execution, multiple execution of a set of instructions. That is, a set of instructions are executed many times until a condition is satisfied. So in this case, we have looping is executing the same set of instructions multiple times till the condition is true. Once the condition is false, the control exits from the loop and the loop completes. So here we have seen that there are mainly three parts along with the statement which has to execute multiple times. So that is ICU, initialization of the index variable which keeps count of how many times we have executed, condition to be checked, and updation. Updation can be any type of operation, addition, subtraction, etc. And we have discussed about three types of loops, that is while, do while, and for loop, right? So three types and their syntax. We have discussed different types of problems related to while, for, and do while loop. So here we have the concept of nested loop which we just started in the previous class. So that is, a loop inside a loop is called as nested loop. So these two loops can be any type. So three types of loops are there, as we know: while loop, for loop, and do while loop. So nested loop can be combination of any of these type of loops. So here we have discussed one example, that is two for loops. Like we have one for loop, as we see. This is a one for loop with the syntax we know. There are three parts: initialization, condition, and updation. So if we just have one for loop, we will have the curly braces open, and inside that we will have some body of the loop which will execute multiple times and close the loop. This is one single for loop. Now, when we say a nested loop, we will have one more loop inside this loop. Now, note, it can be any type of loop. In this example, we have considered one for loop inside another for loop, like this. So, this outer for loop can be used for one condition, right? So, then based on each value of inner for loop, the inner for loop will execute multiple times. So, here we may give like, say, I and j, or x, y, a, b, any variable can be used. So we have just taken one example. Let us see the same. So with the contents which I told you, so we are going to discuss the concepts based on the nested loop. We just discussed one matrix type of example, and then the programs 24, 25, and then we have flowchart for each, and the tracing with one example, as well as program execution. So we will execute the programs and see how the output looks like, right? So an example we discussed based on the matrix. So here we have a row number and column number, right? So then we have to print two digits in each number. So here we have 1 1. 1 1 means it is row 1, column 1, 1 2, row 1, column 2, 1 3, row 1, column 3, and so on. So here, if we have to print these numbers, let us say we consider ij, right? So we are printing two numbers. So that is, first digit is I, which is considered as row number in our example. J is considered column number. So we print the values of I and j. So if we observe, first digit is 1 in all the numbers. So 1 is row 1. Second digit is 1, 2, and 3. So that means that is the column number. So column number starts from 1 and stops at 3. So if we say the while loop starts from 1 and stops at 3. So 1, 2, 3 are the values of j. Next we have the second row needs to be printed in the next line. So we need to print a /n. Similarly, we have 3 rows. So give a /n so that each row is printed in a new line. Now we need to print row number also. So second row we have to print row number 2. Third row number is 3. So even row number has to increment. So first 1, then 2 and 3. So we will use another for loop. So this is the outer loop wherein I is the row number. I starts from 1 and ends at 3. As we can see in the example, row 1, row 2 and row 3. Each number has row number as first digit, column number as second digit, right? So this example we discussed. I hope this is clear. Okay. So let us now continue. First, we will discuss problem 25, right? So it is easier to understand comparatively. It is somewhat similar to this previous example. So in problem 25, we are printing two patterns. What are they? So we just saw the first pattern. So that is pattern with P1 printed 5 times in first row, P2 is printed 5 times in second row, so on P3, P4 and P5 is printed 5 times in fifth row, right? So this is pattern 1 and we have to print pattern 2. That means two patterns have to be printed using one program. So in this pattern 2, we have just one digit. P1 is one number in row 1. In row 2, we have two digits. In row 3, there are 3 digits. Row 4, there are 4 digits. Row 5, there are 5 digits. The number of digits in each row depends on which row it is, right? So let us see that in detail next. Okay, so let us see how to print pattern 1. So the program has two parts. The first part is to print pattern 1 and second part is to print pattern 2. So we will see the first part, printing pattern 1. How do we print this? So what is the pattern? As we have seen, pattern 1, P1 has to be printed 5 times in row 1. Please note this is row 1 and the number to be printed is 1 along with a letter P, capital P and a number. And what is that number? That is row number. Next, row 2, we are printing P2 5 times. So P along with row number 2. So this is second row, we are printing number as 2. And third row, P and row number 3. P3 is printed 5 times. Fourth row, P4 is printed 5 times. Similarly, fifth row, P5 is printed 5 times. So as we have taken example, right? So row number we have taken as I. So if we generalize this, we are printing capital P along with row number. Row number is I. So we are simply printing PI, right? So P percentage D will give us the value. So that is mapped to I. So every time we are printing PI. But how many times? So initially it is to be printed in row 1. So as we observe, if I will start from 1, okay, so it will print P1, but how many times? It has to print it 5 times. So we need a loop. We have to repeatedly print the same thing. So we need a loop. Let us consider this J because each one is 5 columns. We will consider a J loop which will start from 1, end at 5, and every time it is printing P1 because I starts from 1. So according to this loop, I is equal to 1. So it will print P1 how many times? 5 times. So we got the first row. Now when we observe this, where as soon as J becomes 6, it will stop. Okay, now we need cursor in the new line. So we will take a printf/n. Note that the brackets are not given here for the for loop because there is only one statement here. If you want, you can give the brackets. Brackets are optional if there is only a single statement. So inside this J for loop, there is only one statement. So brackets are not necessary. Okay, so we gave a /n. Now cursor has come to second line, but we need to increment the value of I. If we don't increment, it remains 1. So we want to print 2 and then 3, P4, P5, so on. We have to increment I. So I starts from 1, row number 1 and then 2. Every time it increments by 1 up to 5. So we will take the outer for loop, another for loop for value of I, row number. Starts from 1, ends at 5. Every time incremented by 1. So I is equal to 1, I less than equal to 5. So till 5, it executes I plus plus, because every time I is incremented by 1, right? So this is the main logic to print this pattern. So once we understand this, the rest is very simple, right? Just declare the variables, add the header file main, and then this slash n is just given so that the new pattern is printed after a new line. So we will see the tracing also. So before that, let us see the flow chart. So corresponding flow chart, we just saw this little, right? So we have the first part, oval, depicts the start and stop. So the terminal symbol, which corresponds to the header file and main function. And then we are declaring I and j as integers, right? So when we observe the for loop, so we have three parts: initialization, condition, and increment. But how does it work? It will not work in the same order. So first part, no doubt, is initialization. So I equal to 1. Then second is condition. So condition has to be written in decision symbol, rhombus. So I less than equal to 5, we write. But next is not updation, right? Updation happens only after one complete execution of the body. So updation will be written later. Okay, so next, after condition is checked, okay, I is 1, I less than equal to 5, condition is true. Now we will enter into the for loop. So enter, we have one more for loop. So here also similarly, first initialization is done. So j equal to 1. So that we write here, in case this condition is true, j is equal to 1. Then we are going to check for condition. J also works till 5. So j less than equal to 5 is checked. So if it is true, we are printing I. Note that increment happens later only. We are printing PI, right? Print PI, and that is the only part in the body of the inner loop. There is only one statement in this J loop. So if this completes, it will go back increment. So now J becomes 2, right? So J is incremented. After this, so initialization is done only once. So it no longer goes there. After J becomes 2, control comes to condition, right? Right, condition is checked. So 2 less than equal to 5, print PI. So we print P, I again is 1 itself. So P1 is printed second time in the first row, and this continues. So P1 is printed 5 times. So now when J becomes 6, so J less than equal to 5, 6 is not less than equal to 5, condition false, control comes out to printf. So it will come to next line. So here once condition is false, control comes out slash n. So we get the cursor in the new line. Now I is incremented to 2. So this continues for I equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For each value of I, J executes 5 times, right? So you can see the depiction. So this is the, sorry, outer loop of I, and inside that we have the inner loop. This type of representation in the flowchart is very important. Please note the arrows. They have to be given correctly. Okay. So here we have printed the first pattern. We will see step by step tracing also next. Okay. So before that, let us see what to do for second pattern. So what is second pattern? So as we know, so here we have pattern 2. So if we observe this carefully, we have the values. So 1 value in row 1, 2 values in row 2, 3 values in row 3. So then 4 values in row 4, 5 values in row 5. So number of values we know is the same as the row number. Now observe the next part. Previous program we printed P1 5 times. That P1 was the row number. Okay, here also we are printing P1, fine. Second, what are we printing? There we printed P2 5 times, but here it is P1 and P2. So that is not row number, because the first value is 1, second value is 2 here. So that is nothing but column number, right? So first column in all the rows is P1, then we have P2, which is column 2, then we have P3, third value in each row is the column number 3, then fourth value is P4, then fifth value is P5. So the value depends on the column number. Which is column number? So according to our example, we have considered J. Okay, let us take that. You can take any variable, right? So I have just taken as J. J is the column number. So we have to print basically P and J value. So here we have the first statement. What are we printing? P followed by the value of J. Now every time J has to increment, right? But how does it increment? So we cannot simply write J equal to 1, J less than equal to 5. If we do that, we will get 5 values in this row. How many values do we need? Only 1. So, but that cannot be decided based on only one condition, right? If we see one row, we will not understand what condition to be given. So let us see next row. Okay, this is row 2. What are the values? 1 and 2. Okay, row 3, values are 1, 2, 3. Row 4, if we just analyze like this, let us consider row 3. Values are 1, 2, and 3. So row number I equal to 3. What is J? 1, 2, 3. So these values are less than I as well as equal to I. So J values are less than I, equal to I. Similarly, observe 1, 2, 3, 4. Row number 4 means I equal to 4. J values are 1, 2, 3, which is less than 4. 4 equal to 4. That means we can write J less than equal to I. Similarly, 1, 2, 3, 4 are less than 5 and 5 equal to 5. So the values of J depends on the value of I. This is the main logic. So here we have decided the condition based on the pattern. The value of J depends on the value of I. The values here are dependent on which row it is, right? So J less than equal to I is the condition. So that is what we see here. J starts from 1, but condition is J less than equal to I. That is due to the pattern wherein each row has the values dependent on I. Okay. So what are we printing? P, J, right? We are printing column numbers. Now this column 1 value will get printed. Okay, J starts from 1. Assume I is 1 itself, right? So 1 less than equal to 1. Okay, so first value will print. Second value, now J becomes 2. 2 less than equal to 1, condition is false. Now when we come back here, it has to print 1 and 2. That means row 2 has to be got, right? So we have to increment I also, right? So that needs to be printed in a new line every time. So we are giving a /n. So once we give this /n, cursor now comes to second line. Here we need to print 2 values. So that means I has to be incremented. So every time we are incrementing I, because we need how many rows? 5 rows. Start from 1, count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So every time I has to be incremented by 1. So here what is the for loop? I equal to 1, I less than equal to 5, I plus plus, right? So here we are going to have a outer loop for the row count. Okay, so that close the bracket for I. So that means we have the complete nested loop, and then we have corresponding flow chart, right? So now I have just displayed this flow chart. Okay, so here can anyone tell me what is the first part here? All of you are unmuted, right? So you have option of unmuting yourself also, and you have chat option. You can message through the chat. What is the first step? A is a connector. What is this step? Can you explain, anyone? Dear students, I equal to 1. So we have a connector which is same as the previous slide wherein we stopped at A equal to 1. Okay, so let me see this. So here we have the connector A equal to 1. So previously, say we have a large flow chart, we can write it in different pages. First page stops, there you have a connector in circle. We have mentioned the label for the connector as capital A. So we are continuing from that, right? If we see the previous slide, we have seen that A was there at the bottom. So we continue from that. So we are continuing the flow chart with the same connector and same label. So here I starts from 1. So that is what we have, the initialization, and then the decision symbol is used for mentioning the condition I less than equal to 5. Now this will be executing the inner loop. So J starts from 1. Condition here is J less than equal to I, right? So here we are printing P and value of J. Print Pj. Every time increment the value of J. We want to print P1, then P2, P3, P4, P5. Column number has to be printed. So increment this, continues, inner loop continues till condition is true. Once condition is false, we come out and print /n so that each line is printed in a new line. So each row we have in a new line. So a /n, and every time we increment I. So I increments, there is a new pass. So here this outer loop executes, right? And for every execution, for every value of outer loop, we have 5 executions or multiple executions of inner loop. So in this case, J less than equal to I, we'll have multiple executions of inner loop. So let us see how this works exactly with the help of tracing, right? So here we have the tracing first for pattern 1. So first thing is we have the logic, the main logic, the nested loop, and then we have the pattern displayed. So if we analyze this, what do we see? There are 5 values in the first row, P1. Okay, so that is we are printing row number. That's what we discussed just now. So we are printing PI, right? So print PI, and the value has to be printed 5 times. So we have the inner loop to print PI 5 times, then a new line, then increment the value of I. Okay, I becomes 2, print P2 5 times. Let us see how this works. So first we have some terms here. The outer loop, each value is called as one pass. For example, I equal to 1 is pass 1, then I changes. First value of I will be pass 1. It may start from 1 or 0 or 10 or anything. So the first value is pass 1. Okay. So I equal to 1 is pass 1. So here I have just written output is to print Pi. So pass 1 for us will print only line 1. So we will see how we will print P1 5 times. So this pass 1 tells us how P1 is printed, okay, 5 times. So first thing is I is equal to 1. Condition to be checked, I less than equal to 5. Is 1 less than equal to 5? Yes, true. Now what should we do? Enter the inner for loop. The outer condition is true. Enter inner for loop. J starts from 1. Okay, note J starts from 1. Condition is J less than equal to 5. So J is 1. 1, is it less than equal to 5? Yes, true. Then we need to print what? P and value of I. What is I? I is 1. Note that we are printing P I. So P1 is printed once in the first line. Now J will get incremented to 2. So J is 2. 2 less than equal to 5. Yes, true. Print Pi again. So in this step, second step of pass 1, P1 is printed second time. Now J increments to 3. So in this loop, we are still in pass 1 only. I is still 1, right? So J is executing third time. So J loop, J is there with third step, J equal to 3. 3 less than equal to 5, true. Print P1 third time in line 1. We are still printing line 1 only. So then J becomes 4, true condition. P1 is printed fourth time. Now J becomes 5. P1 will be printed fifth time, right? 5 less than equal to 5. Note that we have printed P1 5 times in line 1 till now. Now what happens if J is 6? 6 less than equal to 5 has to be checked. Condition is false. So this loop completes, right? 5 execution of J loop completes. Now we have a /n. So cursor comes to second line. What happens next? If the cursor is coming here, then we have the increment of I. I was 1, it will become 2. So when I changes, so I is incremented by 1, that is called as pass 2. So pass 2 is I equal to 2. So again, I has to be executed for each value. Now for I equal to 2, second value of I, J has to execute 5 times. Note this, right? So here 2 less than equal to 5, condition is true. Now, very important thing to note is for the every execution of pass, the inner loop will start from the first value only. Previously, it stopped at 5 and we incremented 6, condition false. So it will not continue with 7. Note, very important. So J will start from the fresh value. So this has to be known so that we understand the tracing. Inner loop always starts from the first value again. So J starts from 1. Okay, so 1 less than 5, yes, true. What is value of I now? I is in second pass, so I value is 2. So we need to print Pi. Cursor is in the second line. We have to print P. I value is 2. So it will print P2 once in the first step, right? So here line 2 we got first value of line 2. Then second step in pass 2, J becomes 2. We print Pi. I is 2. So P2 is printed second time in line 2. Then J becomes 3. So here P2, which is value of I, is printed third time in line 2. Then step 4, J becomes 4, condition true. P2 is printed for the fourth time in line 2. Then J becomes 5, condition true. So 5 less than equal to 5. Then P2 is printed for the fifth time. Every time we are printing Pi, which is the value 2, and it executes 5 times. So till here we see that P2 has been printed 5 times, right? So now when J becomes 6, what happens? 6 less than equal to 5, condition false, control comes out of this inner loop, then we have a slash n. So we printed 2 lines at the end of pass 2. Now again J increments to 3, that is called as pass 3, right? Well, let us see what happens in pass 3. We are printing Pi here every time. So that pass 3 will print line 3 for us. So I value is 3. So 3 less than equal to 5. Yes, condition is true. So what do we start? I starts with 3 value, but J will start from the first value. J is starting from 1. Very important to note. J starts from a new fresh value. That is J starts from 1. So previous 2 passes, we have printed 2 lines, right? P1 5 times, P2 5 times. This pass 3 will print line 3. So what is the first value? J equal to 1. So 1 less than equal to 5. Yes, condition is true. We have to print Pi. What is I? I equal to 3. So P3 is printed first time. Then step 2, J becomes 2. So here again 2 less than equal to 5, condition is true. We have to print Pi. I is 3. So P3 is printed second time in line 3. Now J becomes 3. P3 is the value of I. Okay. P3 is printed third time in line 3. Next, J becomes 4. P3, that means Pi value we are still printing. Pi is 3. So we are printing P3 for the fourth time in line 3, right? So what happens next? We are printing P3 here for the fourth time, right? So then J becomes 5. So here when J is 5, 5 less than equal to 5, condition is true. We print P3 for the fifth time in line 3. Now we have completed line 3, right? So then condition has to become false as per the expected thing, right? So J equal to 6. Now J is 6, 6 less than equal to 5. Condition is false. Control exits from the inner loop. We have a slash n. So we have printed 3 lines. Now cursor comes to fourth line. So that is for pass 4. So what is pass 4? Increment I. So I was 3, right? I was 3. Now I becomes 4, right? 4 is the value. So we need to print line 4 here. 4 less than equal to 5. Yes, condition is true. I is 4 now. J starts from 1, right? Important to note. J starts from 1. So here J 1 less than equal to 5, condition true. Print P I. I is 4, right? So we had printed 3 lines in 3 passes. In the fourth pass, we are printing line 4. So first value is printed when j equal to 1. Second step in pass 4, j equal to 2, right? So j is executing multiple times for one value of I. Note, for I equal to 4, j executes 5 times. Similarly, so on, I equal to 5, right? So now j equal to 2, 2 less than equal to 5, condition true, print P4 second time in line 4. Then j is 3, condition true, print P4 third time in line 4. Then j will be 4. Condition 4 less than equal to 5. Yes, condition is true. P4 has to be printed. Why? Pi value is taken, right? P4 is printed fourth time in line 4. Then j is 5. P4 is printed fifth time in line 4. Now line 4 completed, right? So j becomes 6. When j is 6, condition is false. Control exits from the inner for loop and there is a slash n. So next cursor comes to fifth line. Cursor is waiting fifth line. Now j has to stop. Then I will increment. So I is 4. Now it becomes 5. So that is pass 5 for us. So how does pass 5 execute? We are printing line 5 here. So we have printed 4 lines. I is 5 now. 5 less than equal to 5. Yes, condition is true. Let us print line 5. So step 1. What is step 1? Again, I is 5. So j starts from 1, right? So j always starts from the first value. J is 1 now. 1 less than equal to 5. Yes, condition true. Print Pi. What is I? I is 5. So print P5 first time in step 1 of pass 5. So in line 5, we have only one value now, right? So now j becomes 2. So every time increment j by 1. So j plus plus j becomes 2, right? So now 2 less than equal to 5, true. Print P5 second time in line 5. Next, j increments to 3. So we print P5 for the third time. Note that only the inner loop is executing multiple times, right? Everywhere. So when j becomes 4, P5 is printed fourth time, right? J is 5, condition true. P5 is printed 5 times. So when j becomes 6, 6 less than equal to 5, condition is false. So here the control comes out of the inner loop. We have a slash n, cursor comes to next line. Now next I has to be incremented. I was 5, I should become 6. Note, we cannot stop the tracing here. Even though we have got the complete output, the control will stop only when all the conditions are false. This outer loop condition should become false. Only then it will stop. So even though we got the entire output required, we cannot stop here. Tracing has to be done completely. Okay, so computer always traces completely. It does not know that output is there, so nothing like that. So it has to trace completely. Okay, so next j becomes, okay, j stops, sorry, I becomes 6. Pass 6, 6 is less than equal to 5. We check, is it less? No, 6 is neither less nor equal to 5. Condition is false. So the outer loop will stop. So what is the output? We have 5 rows printed. Okay, so I will just unmute you all. I have unmuted, right? So if you have any doubts, please let me know. Is this clear? Pattern 1?
Yes, no.
Is pattern 1 clear to all of you?
Yes,
Yes? Okay. So we'll continue. Second pattern. So let us see the tracing. So it is all with the value of incrementing each value and checking the conditions, right? So here, okay. So let us see next. We have seen pattern 1 wherein we print 5 lines, right? 5 rows are printed with the row number P and row number I is printed. So whereas pattern 2, let us trace pattern 2. Similarly, we will trace. So we know the logic to print is this one. So nested loop logic we just saw, and the pattern is displayed here. So again, if we trace this, tracing is important to understand the working. So step by step, when we trace, we understand how it actually works. So we see pattern here, which shows that we are printing P and the column numbers. So in each case, we are printing the column number. So P and 1 is the column number. Every row, the first value is the column number. Second value also is the second column numbers. And then third column, we have 3, column 3. So fourth column, column 4, P4 is printed. Fifth column, we have P5 because column number is 5. So every time we are printing the column number. What variable have we considered? So that is, we have considered J as column number, right? So any variable can be considered as I have told you. So here J is to be printed along with P. So let us see first pass 1. So what is pass 1? So pass 1 starts from I equal to 1. So here you have option of unmuting yourself anytime. You can unmute and tell me, right? So what is the first value of I? What is the first value of I? Anyone can answer? 1, right? I starts from 1. So here we have the first value is 1. That is which is pass number 1, right? So pass 1, I is 1. So like we see here, so we have Pj to be printed. So we need to print Pj here. So that is I value is 1, 1 less than equal to 5. Yes, condition is true or false?
True.
True, right? So please answer, it will be interactive. So you have seen the previous tracing. Similarly, we are tracing this, right? So here I less than equal to 5, condition is true. So we are printing line 1. So first, what is the first value of J? First value of J is
P1.
J is 1, right? So here we are printing P1, correct? So P1 has to be printed. So in this case, the first value of J is 1. So check J less than equal to 1. So yes, J is 1, I is 1. So here 1 less than equal to 1, condition is true, right? So condition 2, we print Pj. Pj is nothing but J value is 1. So we print P1. So that is the first step in pass 1, right? So here, what is second step? We are J equal to this. Meghana, what is the next step?
J is equals to 2.
J equal to 2, right? So J is 2 now in the second step. So 2 less than equal to I. I is 1, right? So 2 less than equal to 1, condition is false. So it exits from the inner loop, right? So we have new line here. So now one line is printed. So with one value only. When we see this, line 1 has only one value. Based on the condition, we get one value, which is P1. The value of J is printed along with P. Next, pass 2. What happens in pass 2? I will be 2. 2 less than equal to 5. Note the condition for I is I less than equal to 5. So 2 less than equal to 5, condition is true, right? We need to print line 2 here. So here we are printing line 2. So then what is the first value of J? What is the value of J?
1.
1. Very important note. J will start from the first value. Okay. So J starts from 1. So what do we print? So here, when we say J starts from 1 in pass 2, step 1, J starts from 1. We need to print the value of P along with J value. What is J value? J is 1 here. So in the second line, we print Pj, right? Now, second step, J will be 2. Okay. So J is 2. 2 less than equal to I. I is also 2. Yes, condition is true. We print Pj, value is 2. So P2 is printed as the second value in line 2. Now J becomes 3. 3 less than equal to I is 2. So 3 less than equal to 2, condition false. So inner loop completes. and we have slash n. So until pass 2, we have printed first 2 lines, right? So that is what we observe here. Next, we have to print the third line. So that is pass 3. I will be starting from 3, right? 3 less than equal to 5. Yes, condition is true. We need to print line 3. So here again, j will start from 1. Step 1 in pass 3, j starts from 1. 1 less than equal to I is 3. 1 less than equal to 3, condition is true. We have to print the first value in row 3. Note we are printing not P3 like in previous example. We will print the value of the column number. So column number is j in our example. So j is 1, right? So in pass 3, j is 1 here. So print pj. So the first value is p1. So first step, p1 is printed. Second step, j becomes 2. So now j is 2. So p2 will be printed. So this is the second value in line 3, right? Step 3, j becomes 3. So we print p and j value is 3. So p3 is printed as the third value in line 3. Next, j increments to 4. So when we increment 4 less than equal to I is 3. 4 less than equal to 3, condition is false. So line 3 completes. Okay. So now we have a slash n. So cursor is in the fourth line. So what happens next? I has to be incremented. I becomes 4. Right? So that is pass 4. Every new value, we have a new pass. In each pass, we have multiple steps of the inner loop. So we have pass 4. I value is 4. 4 is it less than equal to 5? Yes, condition is true. We need to print line 4 here. So we have printed already first 3 lines. So line 4, j starts from 1, right? So 1 less than equal to I is 4. Yes, condition is true. 1 is less than 4. So here we print the first value. So p and j value is 1. So we print p1, which is the first value in line 4. Next, j becomes 2. So p and j is 2. So print second value in line 4, which is p2. Similarly, now j becomes 3. So we print p3, 3 less than equal to 4, true, print p3, third value in line 4. Next step, j becomes 4. So 4 less than equal to 4, condition is true, right? I is also 4, j is also 4. So here condition is true, print the fourth value p4 in line 4. Next step, j becomes 5. 5 less than equal to I is 4. Is it? No. So 5 is neither less nor equal. So condition is false. So 5 not less than equal to 4. Condition false. So the inner loop completes. Then we have slash n. So that we have cursor in the next line. Then I becomes incremented to 5, right? 4 plus 1. I is incremented to 5. That is pass 5 for us. So we need to print pj again in the line 5, the j value, right? So 5 less than equal to 5. I is 5. Condition I less than equal to 5 is true. Again, I starts with, okay, j starts with 1, right? Every new pass, j starts from the new value. So j is 1. 1 less than equal to I is 5. So previous passes, we have printed 4 lines. Cursor was in the 5th line. So here we print p, j value. J is 1. So print p1. Next step, j becomes 2. 2 less than equal to 5, condition true. Second value is printed. So P2 is the second value in line 5. Yes, then j becomes 3. So 3 less than equal to 5, condition true. We print the third value, that is P, j. J is 3. P3 is printed. This is the third value in line 3. Similarly, j becomes 4 next. 4 less than equal to 5, condition true. We have to print pj, that is P4 is printed as the fourth value in line 5. Next step, j becomes 5. 5 less than equal to 5. Yes, condition is true. Print p5, fifth value in line 5. Next, j becomes 6. So j is 6, but I is 5. So 6 less than equal to 5? No, condition is false. So this inner loop will stop here. Control completes. So control comes here now. So printf slash n, cursor comes to next line. Now what happens? So even though we have pattern, we have to check until the outer loop completes, right? Now I was 5, it gets incremented to 6. That is pass 6. What happens in pass 6? 6 less than equal to 5. Condition is false and the control comes out of the outer loop. And we have the required pattern. Okay, right? So let us see program execution. For now, I will just type the command prompt. So we need the command prompt. Yes, I think I've just uh, okay. So I've given this. I'm using MinGW. The command here is notepad, like you have gedit, right? So this is the pattern or the program we just discussed, pattern 1. So here we have the header file and main. I hope the new screen program is visible to all, right? So here we have the first declaration and then the first set of nested loop. The first part of the program is pattern 1 and then we have a /n so that there is some space between both the patterns, and then the second part is pattern 2, exactly the same code which we just discussed, right? So let us see what happens when we execute this, right? So the pattern compilation is GCC program name. So here pattern 12.c. .c is the extension for C program. GCC is the compilation command, right? So here we have got the prompt. That means there is no error, right? So A is the execution. Instead of ./a.out, we have used, which I have used in lab. So you can use A or A.exe in MinGW. So as we see, we have the patterns. So first part is pattern 1 and then we have pattern 2. Okay, right? So I hope this program is clear. Okay, so now let me know. Any doubts? Is this clear to all of you? Yes? Is this clear? You have the chat box. Okay. So you have chat box also. You can send in your messages there through chat box so that I will reply it. Okay. Fine. So let us see. Now I'll just clear screen. So CLS in MinGW. Okay. So we'll go back to our presentation. Yeah. So beginning. Fine. Okay. So this is the program 25, right? So we will see 24 now. So this, because we have easier to understand, I just selected 25 first. So what is pattern? This program 24, it is also a pattern. So observe here, we have the new screen with the program question displayed, program 24. So that is, write a C program to print the following pyramid pattern, right? We are printing some stars in the form of a pyramid. So up to nth row. So here where n is the number of rows to be printed. So this number of rows is taken as input. So according to this example, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows, right? So let us first analyze the question. So we need to first analyze question and see what is input and what is the output. So as per the question, n is the input. That means the number of rows. So based on that, we have the values inside each row, right? Number of rows is 5. So input will be 5. Okay. So now what do we have in each row? So if we see this, this is somewhat similar to pattern 2, but in reverse, right? So we have printed one value in row 1, then incremented each time. But if we observe, we have 5 stars in row 1, then 4 stars in row 2, 3 stars in row 3, 2 stars in row 4, 1 star in row 5. So it is decrementing, right? Previously it was incrementing. Now it is decrementing. So we have discussed in the initial stages of loop that the index may be incremented or decremented. There are many ways of implementing it. So in this example, based on that, we can decide, right? So here, because it is 5 star, 4 star, 3, 2, 1, we see the values are decreasing by 1. We will decrement the index. But which index? So that is the thing to note. So every time we see the row number increments, okay, but the number of columns is decreasing. You have to observe very minute things from the question. So number of columns in row 1 is 5, right? Because there are 5 stars. Number of columns here is in row 2 is 4, right? It decremented columns. Number of columns here is 3. Again, column decremented. Number of columns 2. Number of columns again decremented. Now it is 1. So we are decrementing this column, right? So let us see what to do for this. We have the pattern as displayed. We are not printing P and all here. We are just printing star. We are neither printing I or J, right? So we are just printing a star, right? So what happens here? We need to print star, right? That is one common thing. That is the statement which will execute multiple times. So it will be the innermost statement. So this will execute multiple times. So that is what we know already. We need to print a star every time. So what do we print? So how do we give this? Printf star, right? So that is the first step. So we are printing star. But how many times? So we see that it is 5 times, right? So in the first row. Don't worry about the next. We will see that as well. So we are printing starting like this. So let us say we can start from 1 also, not a problem. Only condition will be altered. We are starting here from 0, right? So just as an example, but y less than I, right? So here j, if we start from 0, how do we count it? So first we have 0, then 1, then 2, 3 and 4. If we have 5 stars, how do we count? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 will make it 5 stars, right? So if this case, so number, say here, if we have initial I value is 5, so here when we start from 0, so the number counts from 0. So at 4 we get 5 values. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Every time if we are printing 1 star, so in the first row we will get 5 stars, right? So first row we have 5 stars, which is got from the first implementation. Now I has to start from 5, right? So because pattern 1 has 5 stars, we will start every time I starts from 5. So depending on the value of I, we have the value of j. So let us see what happens now. So we have I starts from 5. We are going to decrement because the number of values decrements. So if we say here I starts from 5, why? We need to count 5 times, right? So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I is used only for counting the rows, okay? So number of values is dependent on j only. So j has to be given as j less than I. So first if I is 5, j works from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Next, j again starts from 0, right? We know that. So j again starts from 0 when I is decremented. So second time I value decrements. I was 5. If we take n is 5, for example, input. So I was 5 in the first row, then it becomes 4. Now j should work till I, right? Less than I. So 0, 1, 2, 3. It will stop. So 0, 1, 2, 3. How many? 4 values. So 0, 1, 2, 3. So j will stop when it becomes equal to 4, right? So j less than I is a condition. So similarly, third row, fourth and fifth row, j value is taken from 0 onwards up to I. Okay. So we see that j value is dependent on I, right? So that is the logic. Now for this, we need the value of n, right? So I starts from 5. We have taken an example based on the question. So this value may be 5 or 6 or anything we can give as input, right? So we need to take input. So accept input. Ask first declare ij, okay? And then n is also declared. Then enter the value of n, number of rows, accept the input. This scanf printf syntax should be very clear, right? So we are taking input for an integer n, right? So that is the first part. Then as usual, we'll include the header file and main function, right? So this is the logic. We will trace this step by step next. Before that, let us see the corresponding flow chart. Now, once we know the logic, flow chart will be very easy, or you can do it vice versa also, right? Flow chart first and then program. Okay. So here we have the first part start corresponding to the first part. Then we are declaring n, I and j as integers. Then we have input, read the n value. N is the number of rows. Read number of rows. So we give 5, it will print 5 rows, right? So or any other value also. So it starts from the largest value. So that is n. I will start from n. I equal to n. Condition we have given I greater than 0. Okay, so that in the decision symbol. Now this updation will be taken later. So now when the condition is true, we have to implement this inner loop. The body has to be implemented once, only then I will get decremented. So after we check condition I greater than 0, we have j equal to 0, right? So that is taken if condition is true, j equal to 0. Now check condition, is j less than I? Yes, if it is true, then print star. So mainly we are printing stars only in this pattern. So just give print star and every time increment j plus plus, and then check condition after incrementing. If it is true, it continues. This continues till j is less than I. Once condition is false, control comes out of the inner loop. Then next we have a slash n, so that we print each one in a separate line, right? Each row in a separate line. So I becomes the next value decremented. I is decremented, so I minus minus. So then continue for the next value of I, j loop executes multiple times. So here depiction, note this outer loop and then inner loop. How do we depict this? Arrows are important to note. Mention true and false also. Okay, so here we have the outer loop, and for each value of outer loop, inner loop executes multiple times. So let us see exactly how this works with the help of tracing. Okay, so here when we trace, first we have the pattern, right? The logic for the pattern as we just discussed. So I starts from 5. Okay, so let us say we give input as 5 as per question, and then we can give any input as well later. So first value of I is n. N is 5 input. 5 is given, 5 rows we need. So 5, is it greater than 0? True. We'll print line 1, right? So now what is the value of j? What is the value of j? Anyone? 0, right? So j is 0. So what happens here? Yes. So first step, j is 0. So j less than I. Yes. 0, I is 5. 0 less than 5. True. So we have to print 1 star. So this 1 star is printed in line 1. Next step, j is incremented. J plus plus. J becomes 1. 1 less than 5. Condition is true. Now we got the second star in the line 1. Okay. So now j is 2. Right? Note that j has started from 0. Okay. So j is 2. We print star third time in line 1. Then j becomes 3. Condition true. Star is printed fourth time. When j is 4, condition is true. 4 less than 5. J is printed fifth time in line 1. Right? Next, j becomes 5. 5 less than 5. Right? J is 5. I is also 5. 5 less than 5. Condition false. Control exits from the inner loop, and we have a slash n. Next we have cursor comes to second line. So in past one we have printed the first line, which is star 5 times. Next, what happens to I? What happens to I? I is 5. In past 2, what is I?
Decremented.
I is 5.
4. Right? Because I minus minus is there. Right? So I minus minus. So note that. Right? I minus minus means I has to be decremented. So I decremented 5 now. So in past 2, I get decremented. Right? What is this? So I was 5 here. So in the next pass, I becomes 4. 4, is it greater than 0? Yes, condition is true. So we need to print line 2 in this pass, right? So in the line 1, there are already 5 stars. Here, J starts from Pavan. What is the value of J? What is J? What is J now? Hari Krishna? What is J? Okay, we have the answer. J is 0. Okay, you have message, fine. Right. So here we have the value J starts from 0, right? So first value, that is very important. We'll start from a new value. So J starts from 0. Okay, so 0 less than 4. Condition is true, right? Condition is true. Now, what is printed? So 0 less than 4. Condition is true. We'll print star. Right? So 1 star is printed in the second line. Next, J has to be incremented. J becomes 0 plus 1, 1. So J is 1 now. So J is 1, 1 less than I. I is 4. So I is 4. So 0. Okay. Incremented. Now I becomes I is 4. J less than equal to I. 1 less than equal to 4. Condition is true. Condition, then it is true. We need to print star, right? So star is printed for the second time in line 2, right? So in the second step of pass 2, star is printed for the second time in line 2, right? Next, J is incremented. So J becomes 1 plus 1, 2 less than 4. Condition is true, right? So condition is true here. So then we have star is printed for the third time in line 2. Next, K becomes 3. Star is printed the fourth time. So 3 less than I is less than 4 is true. So in this case, it is less than 4. So fourth time we have a star. Next, J is 4. 4 less than 4. Condition is false. So when condition is false, we see that in the second row there are 4 values. So we printed line 1 and line 2. So condition is false. Now we have a /n. Okay. Fine. Now can you hear clearly? Yes. Okay. So in this case, in pass 2, in line 2, we got the values. So this is completion of pass 2 because condition for J is false. We have a new line and then next I has to be decremented. I was 4, right? Now I was 4. What happens next? I has to be decremented. So I was 4, it will be decremented 4 minus 1. That will be past 3. 4 minus 1, I becomes 3. What is the condition now? 3 greater than 0. Condition is true. We need to print line 3. Okay. So line 3, we have already printed 2 lines. So line 3, J again starts from 0. 0 less than I is 3. 0 less than 3, condition true. So for the first time, pass 3 is executing. So in step this first step, 1 star has to be printed. So star is printed once in line 3. Next, J gets incremented to 1. 1 less than 3, condition is true. Now star is printed second time in line 3. J becomes 2. 2 less than 3, condition is true. Star is printed third time in line 3. Next, J becomes J plus 1. 2 plus 1, 3. 3 less than 3, condition is false. So now it executes this completed. Okay, it executes the new line. So we printed 3 lines. Cursor is now in the fourth line, right? So now I has to be decremented. I was 3, it gets decremented. Next pass 4, I becomes 3 minus 1, 2. Right? Note that I is decrementing while j is incrementing. That is very important to note. J is incrementing from 0 up to I, but I will decrement. So j value will start now again from 0. So I is 2, 2 greater than 0, condition is true. We need to print line 4. So j starts from 0. We have printed 3 lines in the first 3 passes. Now in the fourth pass, we are printing the fourth line. So condition is true. We need to print star, right? So first step, star is printed once. Next, j is equal to 1. 1 less than 2, because 2 is the value of I. Condition true, star is printed second time. Now j becomes 1 plus 1, 2. 2 less than I. I is 2 here. So 2 less than 2, condition is false. So this pass completes. We have a slash n. Cursor comes to next line. We have a new line. I has to decrement. So pass 4, I was 2. Now it has to decrement. I minus minus. So 2 minus 1, I becomes 1. 1 greater than 0. So that condition is checked. Now that is true. So now j again starts from 0. So in pass 5, we need to print line 5. J starts from 0. 0 less than I. I is 1. So 0 less than 1, condition is true. We print star. Star is printed once in line 5. Next, j is to be incremented. J becomes 1. Right? So when we say 1, 1 less than I, 1 less than 1, condition will be false. Right? So 1 is not less than 1. Condition false. Inner loop completes, control comes out. So we have a slash n. So print slash n. Now what happens when j loop completes? Again, decrement I. I was 1, now it becomes 0. So 0 greater than 0? No. That is pass 6, 0. I becomes 0, 0 greater than 0. Condition is false. So we have the required pattern. Right? So we have the pattern here. Okay. So let us see an execution. So we have the command prompt. Okay. So notepad, I've just given pattern star is the name I've just given. So you can see this new screen, which is the program. Okay. So which we just discussed. So we have declared n and then take input for n number of rows, declare ij as well. Note here you can declare this inside the loop also, right? So or a for loop can be given only with semicolons. So you'll see examples also. You can know some examples wherein in all these are optional, only semicolons also can be given like this. So you can delete all of this. Just give semicolon, semicolon, right? That we will see later on. So I starts from capital N and then we have the condition as we just discussed this pattern, right? So here, let us execute. So we have the command for compilation. So that is GCC, right? So we got the prompt, we can execute. So you can use a or a.exe, both are same, right? Now value of n, as per our current question, we need 5 rows, right? So we will give n value as 5. So that means we have to get 5 stars in first row and then 4, 3, 2, 1, right? That is the pattern. Okay. So if we observe this, we see the pattern 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 stars in each row. So let us see again. Let me execute again. So here, if we observe another execution, if I give say 10, that means accordingly we need 10 rows and the first row need to be having 10 stars. So we need the output like pattern with 10 rows. First row should have 10 stars, then 9 stars and 8, 7, so on. It should continue. Last row should have 1 star, right? So let us see. Yes. So we have 10 stars in the first row, then 9, 8, 7, and so on. Last row has 10 star, 1 star. So we have totally 10 rows. Okay. So this is the execution. Any value can be given for n as input. So based on that, we will have the number of rows. Okay. So here we see the pattern. Is this clear? Yes, is this clear to all of you? Yes? Okay. So we will continue. Fine. So let me display that previous thing. Okay, this is done, right? So here we have this pattern. Okay, I will just close this off. So we have the just pattern here. Okay, just a minute. Just a minute. Okay. Yeah. I hope this is visible now clearly. I just displayed lab sheet, right? So we have the lab sheet displayed. This is what we have discussed. So based on conditional statement and looping statement. So previous classes we have discussed this. Yeah. I hope the screen is visible. Okay. So these are the problems based on looping which we have discussed, right? Okay. So the patterns, just we discussed this problem 24 and 25. Right. I hope that is clear. So we will start with the 26th problem now. Now what is this problem? I hope the screen is visible clearly. So in this, I think you must have seen, yeah, clear. Okay. I just asked you all to go through the question, right? Please observe this. So what is the question? 26th problem. We have the problem is write a C program to compute the sum of following series, right? So we need to compute the sum of series. So similarly, we have discussed the previous problem, right? So like 2 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8 and so on up to n. We have to add the even numbers. So that was what we discussed previously, if you all have seen. So that we saw how to solve that using for loop, right? There is only a set of numbers we need to add, okay? And we checked if it is even, and then we added them. So in this problem, so exercise which we discussed in previous class, so there we are adding a series of even numbers. Now when we see this, compare it to the current problem. So we are adding all the numbers 1, 2, 3. So let us see what is this. So we are adding all the numbers. There is no order even, as you see the base is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, but that is not all. Along with that, we have something else, right? When we observe, there is a power. So 1 power 1, 2 power 2, 3 cube, 4 power 4, and so on up to n to the power n. So this is like we need each term. It is not a single number, right? It is not a single number. 1 plus 2 plus 3. If it was, we would have added each number through one for loop. But here we need to find each term separately. Please note, we have discussed the Taylor series wherein we have separate terms and that we found through one for loop, and then those terms we added. So this is somewhat similar. We are finding each term. First term will be 1 to the power 1, that is 1. Second term is 2 square, 2 into 2, 4. Third term will be 3 cube. Fourth term is 4 power 4. If we have fifth term, it will be 5 power 5 and so on up to n. Okay, so according to this, we need to analyze what is the input and what is the output. For every question, first analyze this. What is the input? We need to know what is this n. Only then we will know where to stop, right? So this n is the input, number of terms we need. That is the input. And what is the output? Sum of these terms, right? Sum of the series, right? Each term we have to find and then add them. Once we add, the sum of those terms will be the output. So now we know what is input, what is output. Input is n, output is sum of the terms. Now, how do we find this sum? What is the logic? According to the series, if we observe, we have each one is a different term, right? So each term has to be found and then we have to add them. So the logic says we have to find each term separately and then add them, right? So if we see this, the first term is 1 power 1. Okay, so how do we find this? Once we know n, we know that the value starts from 1. So let us say we take one number for the base, another number for the power. So each one starts from 1 and works up to n. So let us say n is 4 in this example. So correspondingly, we will trace it like we did for the previous problems. So n let us consider as 4. So we need to declare all the required variables, and why is sum equal to 0? We know that the basic operation here we are adding. So that means the resultant variable has to be initialized with additive identity, that is 0. So we are initializing sum to 0, and we have one product also. Each one, if we observe, it is a product. 1 is just 1 power 1. If we say 2 power 2, it is 2 into 2. 3 power 3 is 3 into 3 into 3. So that is one product. So instead of saying term, we have a product. Each term is stored in the value product. Okay, and then we will add that. Each term we will add. Okay, so first we need to know what is the final value, that is n. Enter the value of n. Take input for n. So as per the series, we can analyze it starts from n. Okay, sorry, it starts from 1 and then ends at n. If we take n equal to 4, our series will become 1 power 1, okay, plus 2 power 2, 3 power 3, up to 4 power 4, right? So it will stop at this. So our series is now this much only. So n is 4. We need to find this sum. Okay, so n is 4. So let us consider first I starts from 1 and ends at 4. Okay, but what is the number of terms we are multiplying each time? So that depends on what is the base. So 1 is multiplied 1 time, 2 is multiplied 2 times, 3 multiplied 3 times, 4 is multiplied 4 times. If we observe that the number of multiplications depends on the power, that is I. So that is what we can see. So if we say additive identity is 0, each term we are multiplying. So then we have to initialize that power product to multiplicative identity. What is multiplicative identity? It is 1, right? Multiplicative identity. Product basic is multiplication. So product has to be initialized with 1. Okay, so start from j equal to 1 up to I. So let us see each step what happens. So first initially sum is 0. So we are tracing it in correspondingly step by step. So n value we have entered as 4. We need to take 4 terms in our series. So we have n equal to 4. So pass 1, first value of I is 1, right? So when I is 1, product starts from 1. Note this every time, not just j, product also starts from 1. Okay, right? So product is 1. What is j? J equal to 1. So we need to multiply 1 power 1 now. 1 has to be multiplied once. So initially j is 1. What is product? Product is product into I. Note we are multiplying the base, the I value, that is 1. So we give product into I. Product was 1. I is also 1. So now 1 into 1, product becomes 1. Right? Next, j increments to 2. So 2 less than I? No, I is 1. So condition is false. Right? So the inner loop completes. Now we got one term. So sum was 0. We will add that term to sum. So product became 1. So when we see this, sum is 0. 0 plus product is 1. So at the end of one pass, sum is 1. We just got the first term. Okay, 1 power 1. Now when we increment this further, now pass 2, I has to be incremented. I becomes 2. 2 less than n? Yes, n is 4. So 2 is less than 4. So condition true. Now again, note this, very important. Product will start again from 1 because we have mentioned it inside the loop. If this was outside, product would have continued from previous value. Anyway, here it is 1, but this difference we can observe in next pass. Product is 1 now. Okay, j value starts from 1. So this we know, always inner loop starts from the first value. So product is product into I. Okay, so previous value is 1, I is 2, right? So now 1 into 2, currently value is 2 for product. Now still this has not completed, right? So j becomes 2. 2 less than equal to 2, yes, condition is true. So now product into I. Product was 2, I is 2. 2 into 2, product becomes 4. Okay. Now j is incremented further. So j becomes 3. 3 less than equal to I is 2. So condition is false. So now inner loop completes. We got the second term, right? 2 square. So that has to be added to sum. We are finding each term and adding it to sum. So previously sum was 1. Okay. And then now product is 4. 1 plus 4, sum becomes 5. Note, we have added 1 power 1 plus 2 power 2. Okay, 1 power 1 is 1, 2 power 2 is 4. We added 1 plus 4. That is, sum is 5. Next, pass 3. Now again, we have to be careful by checking. Okay, I less than equal to n, condition true. Product again becomes 1. Because each one is multiplied separately as a different term, we don't want the previous value. If we have that, it will start from 4. 4 into 3 into 3. So that becomes a completely different value. So product has to start from 1. Okay. So this is written inside the loop. So it has to be considered for each pass. Product starts from 1. J also starts from 1. So J is 1. So product is product into I. So 1 is what we have initialized inside the loop. So 1 into I. I is 3. So 1 into 3, product becomes 3. J is incremented to 2. So 2 less than 3, condition true. So product is, current product is 3, I is 3. 3 into 3, product becomes 9. Again, J gets incremented to 3. So product is 9. 9 into I is 3. So 9 into 3, now product becomes 27. Okay. So what happens next? So J is incremented to 4. So J, when J is 4, so 4 less than equal to I is 3. Condition is false. So inner loop will complete. Now this third term has to be added. So previously sum was 5 and here product is 27. So sum plus product, 5 plus 27. Currently sum becomes 32 at the end of pass 3. Now I is further incremented. I 3 plus 1, I becomes 4. Again product starts from 1. Otherwise what happens? It will start with 27 into 4. So we will get a wrong value. So product starts from 1. So to avoid the calculation that way. So here product has to start from 1. J also starts from 1. Right? So J is 1. So product is currently 1 into I is 4. 1 into 4. So product becomes 4. Next, J is incremented to 2. 2 less than equal to 4. Condition is true. So product is 4. 4 into I is 4. So it becomes 16. We have multiplied 4 2 times now. So next, we need to multiply 4 power 4, right? So J becomes 3. So 16 is current product. I is 4. 16 into 4. Product becomes 64. Again J is incremented. So it becomes 4. 4 less than equal to 4. Condition is true. So product is 64. I is 4. So 64 into 4. Product becomes 256. We got the fourth term. That is 4 power 4 is 256. This has to be added to sum. So we had added 3 terms. Now we will add the fourth term. Right. So when J is 5, condition is false, comes out of this I loop. We have to add that sum to product. So sum was 32, right? To that we will add 256. So we get the sum as 288. Now what happens next? I was 4. We see according to this, I has to be incremented. So condition is I less than equal to n. I becomes 5. 5 less than equal to n. N is 4. 5 less than equal to n. Condition is false. So this entire loop completed. So whatever answer we need is in sum. We have to print that sum, right? So in pass 5, so I less than equal to n, condition is false, it completes. So then we print sum of the series is percentage d, that is the value of sum. Sum is 288. So if we have to trace this, okay, how do we know whether this is right? Right. So if we do it manually, so this is how we will solve. N is equal to 4. That means our series reduces to this. So sum is 1 power 1 plus 2 power 2 plus 3 power 3 plus 4 power 4. We have to stop at n equal to 4. Let us find each one separately. If we are verifying this, so 1 power 1 is nothing but 1 and 2 square is 4. 3 cube is 27. 4, okay, 27. 4 power 4 is 256. When we add all of them, we have to get 288. That is the answer we get. There is a sample output also. So when we execute using, this is like in your lab, gedit for this, any name you can give. Series sum.c I have given, gcc compilation ./a.out for execution. When we give n equal to 4, answer is 288. Okay, so I hope this is clear. So we are almost to the end of the class. All of you please enter your name and roll number. Okay, if you have any doubts, you can message through the chat box. Yeah, math power function. So here we will not use that as well. We can use, but this to know the usage of a nested loop. So here it may be specified, don't use power function. So in that case, this is how it has to be executed. Okay, so the doubt is asked based on the math.h. Right, we will see examples using math.h and all later. So here power function is there, but we have not yet discussed that. So using functions we will execute later on. So this without using any functions like power, square root, there are functions to be used, but without them if we have to execute. So we should know the basic how it executes without any standard function, right? So this is the way power executes, right? So power is found each term and then we are adding it. So we have to know what is the fundamental way of executing it. So we have used the nested loop. Okay, so this is a nested loop, right? Is this clear? All of you? Clear? Okay. You can message to me if you have any doubts. Okay, I will reply it. So please analyze each of these terms, programs, and execute them. Go through the lab sheet which is shared with you. Okay, so next we will complete this tomorrow in next class. Fine. So there are 2 exercises. I want you all to go through this. So with the solution it is given. Exercise 1 is to check whether it is perfect number or not. I want you all to read this exercise. There are 2 exercises. This will be an assignment. So find out if this value input is perfect number or not. So that please go through this exercise 1, and exercise 2 is to count the total number of digits in an integer. So these are the 2 exercises. So I want you all to analyze this. This is solved using while loop. Take one number as input and then say if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as a number. How many digits? There are 5 digits. So we have to print the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 contains 5 digits. So this is implemented using while loop. It can be done using any loop. So simple looping execution is there, right? So I want you all to go through this exercise 1 and 2. In the next class, we will discuss arrays. So this completes module 2, okay? And in the next class, we will start with module 3. So please go through these 2 exercises. Okay? Right? So in this case, you have to check, read exercise 1 and 2 and the solution also. Execute these programs. Okay, anytime you get any doubt you can ask, right? Just message, right? I will reply. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.